to, at one level, have the Nazis say, I'm a Zionist agent, and at the other end have the Israeli ops and others attacking me, which shows these are jaws, top and bottom jaws on the same crocodile.
Absolutely. They work together. They've always worked together. There's no secret in that. One of the biggest cases in Canada, you probably remember Ernst Zundel.
Yes.
Ernst Zundel single-handedly managed to get what they wanted through in the court system, and that was the hate laws. But I could not figure out why on earth the Canadian government gave this man so much publicity. I mean, they could have said nothing and no one would have ever heard of him. And yet it was in all the national papers, ongoing right up to the Supreme Court, where I think he was allowed to stay in Canada for a while. But it came out in the Toronto Sun and the Star a couple of years after all of this, that his right-hand man in this white supremacist movement, surrounded by skinheads, his right-hand man was a guy called Grant Brislow, who was a member of CSIS, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, and he was also Jewish. They were all working together.
Listen, when I was at Bilderberg 2006, they had these hippie guys show up going, let's nuke the Bilderberg, let's nuke. And they had these big Royal Mounted Police types, you know, the FBI type, 6'3", good shape, acting friendly. And I said, look, you're feds, aren't you, to some of the other guys? And some of them actually went, we're just doing our job, Alex, just checking things. And I was like, yeah, just doing your job, trying to provocateur. And I don't know how these cops live with themselves, because they set up a lot of people.
Yes, they do.
And I know they're circling me like a pack of sharks. And then they shoot their kids up with mercury, too.
Yeah.
They give them fluoride. I mean, you're killing your own kids. We're the good guys.
Yeah.
Why do you hate us so much? But I guess they don't like us because they like their petty power trip, and we're kind of raining on their delusion that they're the cops and they frame the bad guys, and that's how they get it done. What about the enforcer psychology? Go ahead.
Yeah, they're on a team. You see, they've literally militarized all police forces. They have done that for years. They use the same bonding techniques, super bonding techniques you get in the military, where they stand up for each other. They're outside of Civvy Street, as they call it, Civilian Street. They're special, and the brotherhood is all. That's all there is the brotherhood. You must preserve the brotherhood. And really, they can be kept in their own little paradigm, their little Plato's cave, where they themselves are kept dumb and stupid, but they still want to succeed as a brotherhood and do what they're told. They feel they're achieving something, even though they don't even comprehend what the real goals are. So that's true. The militarization of police is an old technique that's been brought up to full force now.
What does the elite think of us? What is their view of an Alan Watt and Alex Jones, somebody that sees with horror their operation and their plan? I mean, I certainly know they're trying to hurt us, trying to shut us down. Why don't they just kill us? You know, we get that question a lot.
They would never want they don't want martyrs, number one. Martyrs are bad news for any movement. In fact, they generally get so many recruits into a movement once someone's killed.
That's why the CIA probably killed, they're now saying, that Iranian girl, Nada, she's their cause celeb. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And apart from that, to be honest with you, I think they're so arrogant right now, because they do with the Internet. They've got a daily, they take the daily pulse of the public. They know what they're chatting about in their text messages and so on. They know what their conversations are. It's all from TV and entertainment and so on, or major stories put in the paper for them to talk about. They're not really worried, to be honest with you, I think, in their arrogance about the masses of the public. That's what I really, really think.
Yeah, it's very, very sick. I mean, you talk to these reporters who you know are working for the other side, and they'll basically in private go, yeah, I know that's the way it is, but what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. And they're kind of getting off like they're part of the system, that they're, and I don't understand how they drink the fluoride, they take the shots, they die for it. But I guess it's the mind game of like dress up or make believe. They make believe they're with it. It'd be like running out in front of a Mack truck going 100 miles an hour and going, I'm with you, and it just splats you. But you feel like you were with it. So instead of just not jumping out in front of it.
It also comes into, you see, this is the generation where they're pulling it off. Previous generations, the guys were basically prostitutes. They knew it would come down eventually on the general public, but not their generation. They'd lived through it. I'd be okay. This particular group are just as much in denial, I think, as the general public. they can't believe it can be as bad as that, and they themselves may possibly succumb to infections or plagues or whatever is released. So they hope that just by simply being good and staying in denial, they might be saved, be chosen. I should mention, though, that back in the 90s, this happened across the Commonwealth countries, Canada, the US, Australia, New Zealand, maybe in the States too. It came out when Preston Manning was in the Parliament. The parliamentarians voted themselves the right to top medical treatment. In a country of socialized medicine, remember, top medical treatment within, for them and their families only, and the high-level bureaucrats within top military hospitals. And I thought, well, what's this for?
That's like North Korea. That's like North Korea.
Yeah, so what they're getting, and this is how they get people on board, if you go along with this, you will be saved. We'll give you the top treatment. We'll give you the real inoculations, the real antidotes, etc., for you and your families if you go along with this and you have all the organic good food to eat, etc., etc. That's the deal.
Exactly. So out of fear of their own system, they go, all right, I'll help you murder them. All right, I'll be evil. And they go, now you're with us. But there's always a night of the long knives for you. And you're going to be betrayed, just like those torturers followed orders, and then Bush cut them loose. Remember that. We'll be right back.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done's been right.
From 1810 to 1913.
You know, it's magic to be alive. It's so wonderful. We're on this planet, depths of space, all this beauty around us, the atmosphere, the birds, the trees, flowers, life. I can just sit there in my yard looking at the grass and little spider or bugs walking around. It's all majesty. Meanwhile, the Madison Avenue has you feeling insecure, all focused, feeling dirty, feeling weak. And they've always got new poisons to sell you to supposedly fulfill you. Alan's agreed to stay with us the full transmission, so another 35 minutes. Very honored to have him with us. Let's go ahead and go back to the calls. Deborah in Illinois, then Steve, Gary, Jonathan, Tatina, and others. Debbie, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Alan. Thanks for everything you do to inform us. I'm calling in. I wanted to inform you. I had a local TV station do a hit number on me regarding the jet contrails that I've been watching spray us since March, and I've been photographing. I sent...
Yeah, what they're doing is they simultaneously do pieces on locals saying it doesn't exist, while telling you in the New York Times and Wall Street Journal and USA Today that, oh, we're spraying you now to save the Earth. But then, see, it's good when they say it, but when you say, hey, you know, contrails, are ice. They stay there a minute or so. Those stay there all day and turn into clouds. They go, oh, you're insane. So what did the locals do to you?
Well, it's a really crazy story. I called in to report all these jets. Some days were worse than others. And they seemed interested. They came out, they did an interview for an hour. Then they took sound bites of what I said, and then they pit me up against a jet mechanic from the local college who said that chemicals aren't being sprayed. And then I was also pitted up against a weather forecaster out of Chicago who said that the weather modification experiments were done in the 70s. As far as he knew, there's not any more being done.
What? There's scores of U.S. companies doing it full-time publicly, and hundreds of universities and government agencies openly admit they're doing it. The president's announcing they're getting ready to do it on a mass scale. But see, this is the example of how the propaganda works, and these locals feel like they're powerful. They're part of the system exposing this kook. But really, they're in Plato's cave. Alan Watt comments.
Yeah, it's true. Again, it's a form of doublethink. You're kept in doublethink. In fact, you're taught to deny your own senses. That's the key to it. When you see them yourself, you're taught that can't be happening. The media would have told me so. That's how most people reason today. The media does their reasoning for them, according to Brzezinski. But yeah, they will poo-poo you when you see them in your local area, and they'll even tell you, well, they might be spraying, but not where you are, as though it was some freak sort of thing if it occurred over your head. But they've been spraying daily almost since 1998. And I remember the first day it started in Ontario, there were half the height. The whole sky was a grid on the very first day. And that's when the bronchial problem started with everyone. It got so bad 3-4 years ago, most of the birds were dead. And they've changed their mixes even as they go along. They don't do the full spray generally across the entire sky. They do it in short bursts that turn into clouds more rapidly. But this is old stuff, and I've covered it. Teller, the guy who invented the H-bomb, was the guy who brought to the Pentagon the whole idea of floating lots of particles of barium, aluminum oxide, and various other metals into the atmosphere using a standing wave technology like HAARP, along with it to create weather modification. And that went all the way to the President of the United States, and the Pentagon actually worked on it at the time. This is a very old agenda,